As a gigantic Persona fan and professional gamer, I've been excited for Persona 5 Tactica since it was announced in June of 2023. I love turn-based RPGs and strategy games, and despite how much I enjoy Persona 5, Strikers missed the mark for me since I tend to hate Musou-style games. When the game was announced, I knew I had to get in on the ground floor. If you are unaware, Persona 5 is this outstanding turn-based anime-style RPG that is extremely heavy on story and personality. The modern Persona games always seem to cover exactly what the world is going through at the time. After the turn of the millennia, the world was kind of depressed, especially after 9/11 happened and the endless wars started alongside several other major turning points in human history. And if you've played Persona 3, you can certainly see how that theme played out. Meanwhile, in Persona 4, we had people obsessed with media and the news cycle, and the new evolution of reality TV where everyone wanted to be the star of their own show. Then, when Persona 5 dropped, corrupt politicians were basically in control of every facet of every government organization and constantly plotting behind the scenes to gain more power and line their pockets with more gold. And now that Persona 5 Tactica is out, it's clear the writers do not think that problem has been resolved. Sure enough, in the opening scenes, we meet two clearly corrupt politicians, whom we obviously will know more about later, plotting their nefarious schemes. Also, their sprites are the most generic thing I've ever seen, especially hers. She doesn't even have a nose! What happened to her nose? Clearly, they learned nothing from the events of the first game. Cut to our party chilling at LeBlanc about a month before the protagonist has to leave and head back home. As they're plotting future hangouts since they plan on staying friends, a TV plays in the background about a missing politician which has absolutely nothing to do with the game's main plot. During this conversation, an earthquake happens and time seemingly stops. Looking over, the party notices that the exit to LeBlanc has turned gold with a bullet sign or something on the front of it. They leave the cafe and find themselves in immediate danger as Bridezilla, named Marie because her parents couldn't just call her Marie like a normal human, and also because there is a character in the Persona canon named Marie, but they wanted to name her something that sounded like Mary.
Are you ready to join me for the rest of your life?
I love that so much. They are quickly surrounded by her hat people and proceed to give them a thrashing. All does not go as perfectly for the group, however, as after demonstrating her absolute mind control abilities and snagging almost the entire group under her enslavement collars,
It's just like I've always dreamed!
oh, that was her version of an all-out attack. Ow, Jesus, that looks like it hurt a lot, actually. The remaining duo of Joker and Mona escape with new friend Irina and find themselves back in Rebel Corps hideout LeBlanc. After getting over the more or less shock of a near-perfect replica of their own home being in the strange medieval world, the two strike up a deal with Irina to liberate the kingdom from Marie's grasp in exchange for securing and rescuing the remainder of the Phantom Thieves. Joker notices a mysterious door and goes inside where he finds Lavenza, who lets them know she's mostly trapped too and is going to help out as much as she can given the limitations of her own power along with Joker's. Their first stop is a prison where we hear about some prisoners that are different from the rest of the people in the world. After trouncing a few enemies, we discover Toshiro in a cell, who is the missing politician we heard about on the TV previously. Disappointed and confused, the tables quickly turn as the group is surrounded by the waifu bait duo of Futaba and An. You know what I mean. While I myself am personally a Haru enjoyer, most people fall into either an An or Futaba category, although there are plenty of Makoto stands as well. More important than that, however, is An is part of the core quartet of Mona, Joker, Ryuji, and herself, while Futaba is a much-needed navigator. An's fire attacks are absolutely devastating on Merciless mode, and Futaba's ability to nearly full heal the entire enemy team every other turn can also be rather obnoxious. To make matters worse, more enemies spawn in after a certain amount of time. All this combined with rewards locked behind a turn timer make this battle especially challenging. After playing like a buffoon for around 45 minutes, I gave up and had to return with fresh eyes the next day. Some sleep was all I needed apparently, and within minutes An and Futaba had been cleansed of their brainwashing by Irina's patented plot flag, and back to LeBlanc we went.
This is...
What the?
Joker, let's move. Oh, no, you don't!
Hell yeah, get him, Joker.
Bastard!
Oh, she didn't awaken. Well, she awakened to a power at any rate.
What is happening?
That's us getting that fat dub.
Thank you. You made this possible. Bear witness. This banner shall drive our rebellion. It's time for action. The revolution is here.
Back at base camp, Arena and Toshiro quickly began building their relationship of him being a lovable coward and her being a lovable bully to him about it, while Toshiro quickly figures out that the group is the troublemaking phantom thieves from his own world. While this is going on, Joker wanders back into the Velvet Room and Lavenza explains the fusion process in his new game, world to him. Sub-personas are usually present in Persona Q games, so it was pretty easy to understand the functionality. Oh wait, was the gear what the persona? Yay, Angel. We are again informed about some mysterious individuals on the castle ramparts and head that way where we find Skull and Noir, who quickly cut us off. We battle it out with our friends and capture the flag, returning them to normal and allowing them to join back up with the thieves. Back at the hideout, we find out Mary's marriage plans are ramping up and there's a giant cake being made in the town square. When we arrive, we discover a rather disturbing wedding cake alongside our final two missing comrades, Queen and Fox. After putting up virtually no fight, we slap them to their senses and make our escape. This actually should be the end of the fight.
It's over.
I did it.
Headshot.
Nicely done.
How is that?
Sir.
This ends now.
Oh wow, he actually got that shot off. Oh, this is the first instance of Toshiro stepping up to the plate as Arena takes a bullet and he has to scoop up the magic MacGuffin and save the day. With our full party back in action, the group starts increasing the scope of their plans in a way they can begin overthrowing the monarchy. This, in true Persona fashion, involves Joker staring off into space for half an hour or more trying to figure out how to best fuse his personas. With that done, they head to a second prison to liberate members of the Rebel Corps so we can have more of an army on our side. Other than the new enemy types becoming more predominant, we manage to rescue one of the Hat People who gives us plenty of intel and allows us to concoct a plan for freeing the rest of the Rebel Corps. Viva la Revolution! As a side note here, I get my first real taste of the game's quests, which are more or less puzzle-style battles that have sneakily introduced you to the game's mechanics as well as forced you to use your entire brain. So of course I got stuck on one for like half an hour. Yusuke, being the weirdo that he is, wants to remember what it was like to be brain-controlled, and as he's trying to reenact the moment in the open, the party's ambushed. The goal of the battle is to complete it in one turn. This one-turn battle took me over 20 minutes, but I do feel like I learned a lot. Mostly that as cool as Fox as a fighter, he drives me nuts as a character. Back at LeBlanc, Toshiro really starts stepping up here as our tactician and comes up with a really good scheme in order to break into the jail. The plan is to have Arena go out into the open and lure the guards and several other baddies into a series of traps while the main group busts in and frees the prisoners. This goes off mostly without a hitch, and just before Arena's luck runs out, the Phantom Thief swoops in and prisoners in tow to help clean up the remaining bad hats. Our new allies hold back the remaining army, and we once again escape to the warm comforts of coffee and curry. With our entire party secure and the Rebel Corps back in fighting force, a new alliance is formed with Toshiro as the intermediary, and the siege on the castle begins in earnest. After a brief skirmish, we bust into the structure and begin wandering around looking for Marie. Inside, we find a projector which shows Toshiro talking to a human form of Marie from the real world, which is also a lady from the opening sequence, and some of his memories return. He remembers that Marie is, in fact, his fiancée. It is not a marriage of love, however, but one of political and financial gain, which Haru is able to closely relate to. There seems to be more to this story, but Toshiro can't remember. After a few more battles, we find the throne room / chapel where the wedding is to take place. Marie finally reveals herself, and we get a 3v1 with this 8-foot-tall pink diva. At first, she just shoots us repeatedly with a machine gun, which is more of a minor inconvenience than you'd think it was. The bigger problem for her was the explosive bouquets that she threw around. These do a ton of damage to us and her. After slapping a few back into her face and shaking off her multiple mind control attempts, she calls in her Big Bowser Bentley and attempts to run the party over.
Now, time for a bit of fun.
Repeatedly.
Keep it up.
Okay, well, he survived it. Barely. This also fails, and she gets super pissed, becoming invulnerable to all damage. Toshiro seemingly freaks out and runs off, and we're left to deal with the immortal Bride of Destruction. Little did we know, however, that he had concocted a plan, and after carefully luring Marie to the center of the room, the bell of doom tolls for she as Toshiro drops the big brass banger on her head and she's finally gone for good. Before her time runs out, however, she tells Toshiro and the Phantom Thieves that he is far from a saint, and she knows all his dirty little secrets that he has conveniently forgotten.
Are you seriously going to stand there, posturing like you're on their side?
You should know we're well past falling for your tricks, Marie.
Talk as tough as you like. Regardless whether or not I'm lying, you'll find out all too soon.
The Thieves and Rebel Corps celebrate their victory in the castle, and it's quickly the time to say goodbye. The exit door was in the throne room, after all. The Phantom Thieves say their farewells, open the door, and find themselves... I like how everybody's like, this'll definitely take us home. I guess optimism is key. You've got to be ready, just in case. But yeah, definitely not what's happening. But where is it taking us? Why? Where and why? And who and how? Give me answers. More hat people! Surveillance cameras. In feudal Japan, except not. They've actually wandered into another kingdom where they are immediately attacked again, and Toshiro has been labeled a dangerous criminal.
And there you have it, folks. What exactly do you have?
Hey, Toshiro.
And there you have it,
Let's
folks.
take this seriously, okay?
Toshiro Kasakami and his face. Hey, this man's a notorious criminal.
And that's it for Chapter 1. Did you enjoy it? I sure as hell did, and I look forward to keeping up with Chapter 2. You can watch it live on this YouTube channel by, of course, subscribing and watching for when I go live. Otherwise, stay tuned for Part 2, and I will see you in the next one. Deuces, dummies.